Alright, so I already recorded this video once, but it appears that I did it incorrectly. I just pushed the camera button thinking I had the video recording and took a picture of myself instead of making a video. So I think we'll start again and we'll try this again. I was looking on YouTube and I saw a lot of teachers doing, this was my first year teaching, this is how it went. So I thought that I would just collect a couple of advice things that I got from my lessons that I learned from my first year of teaching, and maybe share some stories with some of them about why this was a lesson that I learned. The first one we'll start out with is it doesn't take an anaconda to solve a problem as small as a mouse. So at my school building, one of the people there had a problem with a mouse in her office, and so everybody began to come up with their ways of like solving it. Like, here's you put a mouse trap there, put some peanut butter on it, or put a tortilla on it, or there's like all the ways that people use to catch a mouse. And I wasn't really thinking about things, so I suggested an anaconda. I thought, why don't we get an anaconda and make it get it to catch the mouse for us? Needless to say, people when they were giving their serious suggestions, they took my not so serious suggestion and made it into a joke that lasted all year. And anacondas became a big deal for my first year in teaching French. And I think that this lesson applies pretty well to a lot of things in life, especially with my classes that I taught. Like, um, I think sometimes it's easy to come down hard on something that's a small problem. And that's what I demonstrated with my joke. But applying this into like what I did, like I can use that in my teaching as well to remember that some problems are small. We don't have to make a big deal out of them. My second lesson that I learned from teaching was nothing solves a bad day like a box of Life cereal. So one day we had a teachers meeting and they were having us bring food for breakfast before school. So I brought 3 boxes of Life cereal, and nobody ate it, so I was kind of a little frustrated. And I don't know, I was annoyed that I bought the cereal and then nobody ate it. So then I took it to my classroom and left it on the counter. Nobody said anything about it until later on in the day. I had a class where a student asked me if he could have some Life cereal. And I didn't really care if the student ate my Life cereal because nobody else had. So I told him sure. And so he got the box down. And a lot of other students were, I want some Life cereal. I want some Life cereal. So, all right, yeah, we'll just share it with everybody. So they were passing the box around. And then I had another student who was like, Mr. Ollinger, I don't have a life. It's like, so I grabbed one of my boxes of cereal and was like, here, get a life. And so my whole class thought it was pretty funny. And so that lesson is kind of a fun story of something that happened in my class. I think it also applies pretty well to life, where find something you enjoy and make a joke out of it, and like things just aren't that big of a deal. Lesson number 3: too much salt can lose its savor. So apparently, students think that calling somebody salty is a way to tell them that you think they're mean. So I had students who were telling me that they thought I was salty, and so to solve this problem, I had a student who read me the Bible verse about salt losing its savor and told me how my salt had lost its savor and it was time for me to get over it. So I thought that was kind of funny. It's a good lesson for life that you shouldn't be grumpy too much. Lesson number 4 from my first year of teaching is, even if you are afraid that people will think you are talking to yourself because you might start singing along, it'll always brighten the day to listen to good music on your way to school in the morning. So on my way to school in the morning, I thought this a lot of times. It started out when I was listening to Taylor Swift on my way to school one morning. I recognized as I was walking, I was also kind of singing the song. And so uh, I kind of got a little bit self-conscious and realized, like, somebody driving by might think that I'm talking to myself. So what I did was I was like, okay, I'm gonna just listen to music. I'm not gonna sing to myself. But it doesn't matter. Like, it makes the day so much better to just start it off with something that you like, you know? So now we'll go to lesson number 5, which is everything looks different when it's dark. So make sure you know where you are supposed to turn, or you can get lost even 3 blocks from your home. So I had a little way that I would walk to school every morning, and there was a turn I had to take after walking a couple of blocks from my house so that I could make it to the direction of the school. But when the time changed, it went from being light outside when I was going to being dark. And I had never walked this road when it was dark before, so I didn't know where I was going. I got lost one day on my way to school, and my only way to find my way there was to get out my GPS on my Google Maps and figure out where I was at. My next one, lesson number 6 from my first year of teaching is, tell your students that if they're going to pie you in the face, make sure there is someone there to report it first. So I had some students on the last class. I had them make some crepes, and they asked me if they could pie me, and I told them sure, but let's wait till the end of the day so that like I don't have pie stuff all over me. Whipped cream? Yeah, I don't have whipped cream all over me all day. But finally, the student realized that we were gonna run out of whipped cream before that, and there wouldn't be whipped cream after school. So he decided, well, I'm just gonna go pie the teacher anyway. So he just ran up and pied me in the face, and because nobody really thought that he was gonna do that, nobody got a recording of it, and so it was kind of a wasted pie in the face, you know. Nobody got to see, except for my class that watched it happen. So I just, I'll tell them before, if you're going to pie me in the face, make sure you record it. Lesson number 7. You don't have to do every suggestion someone gives you. Find what works for you and don't change it because others think you are wrong. What works for someone else may not work for you or your personality, although others can give good advice, so at least consider what they have to say. So, I think I kind of got overwhelmed my first year of teaching. Like, I got advice from everybody about what to do. And so, in my mind, I thought, I've got to do all of these things people are telling me. But, a lot of it just, contradicted each other. And so I had no clue what to do in these areas that people were giving me advice for. So, a good skill that I kind of learned was that take everybody's advice and maybe try it once or twice, or don't try it at all. But just because something works great for one person does not mean it will work great for you. I had people tell me, "Oh, I did this, it worked great," and then I tried it and it completely fell for me. And then I had other times that people give me advice and it worked. So just don't let yourself get overwhelmed by everybody's thoughts about what you should do or who you should be or anything like that. My lesson number 8 from my first year in teaching is there is nothing more rewarding than seeing a student start to love what you're teaching them as much as you do. So I think that one thing I really liked when I was teaching, the most rewarding thing for me was to see when students went from not having a clue to suddenly getting what you're teaching them, or thinking that they couldn't do it and then figuring out that they can, and finding out that they love what they're doing. So I really like that. My lesson number 9 from my first year of teaching was teaching is more fun when everyone is successful. I think that that's so true. Like, when students don't feel like they're being successful in what they're doing, then they just kind of shut off, and teaching's not fun at all. But when students are getting it, when they're trying, when the lessons are engaging and they're doing what they're supposed to, then it's just more fun. My lesson number 10 is you can have fun while you're working hard. And how I got this lesson was I asked a bunch of my students one day at the end of class to tell me what life lessons they were learning in my class. And that was one that a student wrote down, and one that I think is pretty true about learning French. It can be hard work, but it can also be fun. Lesson number 11. No, so lesson number 11. It's better to stay on top of things than to wait a week and get caught up. So I started teaching, and I worked really hard to always stay caught up, to never get behind, always work on doing the things I was supposed to, like grading papers, get them done, turn back the next day. And when I did that, like, things went great. But if you collect papers for just the whole week and then you don't grade them, you like put off the grading part till later, then it gets kind of stressful, it gets difficult. So getting things done right away helps alleviate all of the stress and makes things easier. Lesson number 12 from my first year of teaching is that things go better when you're positive about them. And I found that to be true every single day of my teaching. Like, when I walked into class, if I started out with a positive attitude, things went better. If I walked in and I was like, oh, today's not the best day, then the day didn't go as well. Lesson number 13 from my first year of teaching: first impressions are often wrong, and things quite often are not the way they appear. Like, students surprise me all the time. Like, their first impression that I thought they would be like, or the kind of person that I thought they were at the beginning, was often not what they really were. And a lot of students really impressed me as being a lot better than what my first impression of them was. Lesson number 14 for my first year of teaching is I got some of my best lesson ideas from going to after-school meetings where they have professional development. So, like I said, other people can have good ideas, and if you're not looking for new ways to do things, if you're not always trying to grow and gain more experience, then classes get monotonous and things aren't quite as fun. Okay, and then the last one, lesson number 15, I learned was that I chose the right profession because I love grading papers. And that is such, like, just grading papers is so interesting for me. When I was a kid, I would try and get my brothers and sisters to play school with me just so that I could grade papers, because grading papers is like one thing that I absolutely love to do. And these are my 15 lessons for my first year in teaching. Thank you.